Hey guys, welcome back to the Tough Love Podcast. Today we're going to talk a little shop with regards to business and three things that I see even in my own practice or what I've seen in practices over the years that are wrong and how to fix them. First off, being insurance-based or driven is definitely a cancer to a practice because you are chasing volume, you are not providing health care. And it's just going to cause burnout in your staff, burnout to the doctors, and really, to be honest with you, you're making no more money, which ultimately, what people don't realize is that forget the owners making money, you're barely making the bills to pay the staff and the providers. And so, when I come into coaching practices, I strongly urge them to take a close look at their, key performance indicators and what they're doing and say, wait a minute, why did I get into this? I got into healthcare to help people. I got into healthcare to be able to offer what I know they need. I don't want to sit there and offer them, by the way, these are the two things you're allowed to get. I want to offer them everything they need to get better. So many times, over the years, 25 years later, people come to us and if they leave us because they don't want to pay or they're almost better and they can't afford it or whatever the case may be. The reality is that your health is, priceless. And once you lose it, trust me, all you'll think about is gaining it back. And so when, I personalize this and I think about all the injuries and all the amount of time and money and what I've invested in my health, it's how I frame it to when I talk to patients. So, there's one thing in practices. The volume game is a losing game. Number two, the energy of a practice. Having multiple locations and many providers and staff, you have to remember that you're the captain of the ship. And you don't necessarily have to be a titan or a tyrannical, but it's your ship. And one thing that it took me years and age and calming down to reflect on is you need to know when to let staff go. And, so many times I reflect back that you didn't want to disrupt a person or you felt bad or this or that. The reality is that if you let them stay, it sends more than just a message to them that they can have bad behavior or they could be underperforming or they could be disrespectful. It tells the other team members that they can do the same or bad behavior doesn't get punished and good behavior doesn't either. And so, if you go through and you're holding your weekly meetings or bi-monthly meetings and your team has a constant distractor, what I would tell you is don't wait till your New Year's resolution to let that person go. All right. Sit them down, let them know what your goals are, let them know what your vision is, and then ask them, are these goals and this vision something you want to be a part of? Don't say a word. Let them speak. And, if there's silence or they come back in a way that doesn't serve what you're trying to do, well, you know what you have to do. And, as sad as that may sound, the reality is your company, your patients are probably all going to be better off. Number three, creating boundaries. What do I mean by this? So many times in healthcare as providers, we overextend ourselves, and this leads to a terrible condition, sometimes untreatable, doctor burnout. And what do I mean by that? You're trying to be everywhere. You're trying to be everywhere for your patients. You're trying to be everywhere for your staff. You're trying to be everywhere for your family. You're trying to be everywhere for you. And there's only so much life force in you to go around. And then you're weathering the storms that come with running a business and everything that goes with it. And you burn out. Or worse, as you're burning out, you're becoming resentful and you are dropping negativity everywhere. And it's bringing your team down. And when it's bringing your team down, then the energy goes down, patient retention goes down, patient satisfaction goes down. And so those boundaries become looking at your days, assessing, doing a self-assessment, once a week at the beginning of the week, end of the week. How do you feel? How are you doing? When you go through those self-assessments, you have to understand, when you go through those self-assessments, you have to ask yourself, how are you feeling with your team? How are you feeling? Do you feel like you have quality of life? Do you feel like you're making what you deserve to be making? And probably the most important, are you happy? And again, because I'm going to tell you right now, where you're thinking is where your practice is at. So if you're unhappy, you're going to see the energy in your practice going in that direction. If you're over the moon, happy, and everything's going the right direction, you're going to see that pathway too, and it's going to skyrocket. Guarding this space is a key to this. And again, coaching now, I believe I'm in 7 states, practices all over. Probably the biggest reason why they hire me is because of burnout. And when I show them any of the 4 locations I've had over time, they're blown away with how nice they are and this and that. And, and I'll tell them hey, the biggest mistake was not really understanding infrastructure, overextending myself, and then not calculating for the fact that I don't know when this happened, but that I found out I wasn't Superman and that I couldn't run 3 locations simultaneously by myself or with just a few key performers. And, if you have that in and you work towards that, you could have a great business. But if you don't have those pieces in, you're going to be in bad shape. So again, those 3 factors are huge, right? So if you're looking to build a practice or you're going into healthcare, I believe those are pearls and you want to listen to that carefully. But again, everything that I say today could be applied to any business. I don't care whether you own restaurants or you're in sales or, a healthcare practitioner or an attorney. It's about balance in your own personal life. It's about staffing, and it's about, a life by design that you are genuinely happy with the life you're building. So again, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope there were some pearls for you healthcare practitioners that follow the pod. I think some of these lessons are invaluable. You're going to see more coaching tips like this as our Velocity HP coaching is growing, thankfully. And thank you so much. Please share, like, and we'll see you guys again soon. God bless.